Hey everyone, and welcome back to the PTG Rail Route Learning series for Train Simulator. On today's video we're going to be taking a look at the West London line, which is an extension to the North London line and comes with the recently released Goblin add-on. And I'm going to be driving a scenario which I've created myself and I plan on making available on Steam Workshop, following the real-life timetable of train 2 Yankee 03, which is the 6:33 AM service from Willesden Junction through to Clapham Junction. This is a fairly short journey with a total distance of around 6.5 miles, and along the way we will be calling at Shepherd's Bush, Kensington Olympia, West Brompton, Imperial Wharf, and finally Clapham Junction. We are starting here at the Willesden high-level turnback sidings, and so initially we've got a quarter of a mile to drive from here into Willesden Junction station itself, and just for that short distance we're actually running under the head code of 5 Yankee 03, as this will be an empty coaching stock move. The Class 378 Capital Star electric multiple units were manufactured by Bombardier Transportation and are part of the Electrostar family of electric multiple units. They have been in service since the 29th of July 2009, and a total of 57 of these train sets have been produced, formed of 5 cars per train set, although some were initially formed of 4 cars per train set, and they come in 2 subclasses, with the Class 378-1 only being able to run with the 750 volt DC third rail electrification system, whilst the 378-2, the other subclass, is a dual voltage unit capable of running on both the 750 volt DC third rail system, as well as under the 25 kilovolt AC overhead electrification system. The maximum power output of each unit is 800 horsepower, with a maximum speed of 75 miles per hour and a weight of 159.5 tons. Once in the cab of the Class 378, the first thing that I need to do here is to move the reversing handle into the forward position, and then as I do so I need to reset the AWS self-test sequence. Now that I've done that, I'm just going to turn on the headlights with the H key. So to do that in this unit, I need to press the H key 3 times. The first time turns on the tail lights, the second time turns off the tail lights and turns on the marker lights, and then the third time turns on the right-hand side headlight, which is the daytime setting. Now that I've done that, before I forget, I'm just going to open the windows here, as I prefer how the unit sounds when you drive with the windows open, as you can hear the motors a bit better. And it's also just nice to hear the noise of the wind rushing past. So now, let's just have a quick look at the controls here. Just in front of us here is the combined traction and brake controller, so the off position means you're not applying power or braking. As you push the handle away from you, you've got a 3-step brake, steps 1, 2, step 3 which is full service, and then finally a 4th step which is emergency, which you wouldn't normally use in service. And then as you pull the handle towards you, then you've got 4 steps of power, steps 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you just really need to adjust the handle to try and maintain the speed between the varying power steps. Just up here we've got the speedometer measured in miles per hour, and indeed you can see a red line which marks the maximum speed for this unit of 75 miles per hour, though we certainly won't be able to get to 75 on this journey today, with the maximum speed limit that we're going to encounter being 60 miles per hour. Just to the right of the speedometer is the brake gauges. The gauge on the right is the one that we're interested in, which says BC, which is the brake cylinder. So the higher that needle is pointing on the right hand side, then the harder the brakes are applied, and the lower it's pointing, then the less the brakes are applied. And when that needle is pointing 0, then the brakes are fully released. Now just to the right of that you can now see in front of us the horn control, which is a 2-tone horn controlled with the spacebar and the B key, as I have the Armstrong Powerhouse Electrostar sound pack installed. And now that we've had a look at that, we've had a look at the primary cab controls here. The final thing that I am going to do is just, I think it's either control numpad enter or shift numpad enter. I always get it mixed up. I'm just going to press one of them, which turns on the driver safety device, which is the alarm that goes off just to make sure that the driver's awake and alive. And so you should hopefully hear that alarm periodically on this journey. And to reset the driver safety device alarm, then you just simply need to press numpad enter. So now that we've had a look around the cab, let's just have another quick look at the train, and then we'll depart out towards Willesden Junction station. Departing away from Willesden high-level turnback siding, the starting speed limit here is 20 miles per hour, and we've got around a quarter of a mile to go to Willesden Junction station. So at this point I'm just going to accelerate up to 20 miles per hour, and then I'm just going to shut off the power and just allow the train to coast along here at 20 into the station. At Willesden Junction I am aiming to stop just before the signal at the end of the platform. You can just see the station platform coming up now. Willesden Junction is actually quite a big station, as it's a junction station between the North London line and the Watford DC lines out of London Euston. And also here we cross the West Coast Main Line. I think it's just after leaving the station here. I'm just gently fanning the brakes to bring us to a controlled stop just before the S sign, and whilst the signal is still in view, I actually think that the S sign is maybe slightly too far along, or the signal is slightly too close here, as if I stopped right next to the S sign then we would be past the signal, which would be a problem if the signal was at danger. This should be about the right place to stop just here. Departing away from Willesden Junction, the starting speed limit is 20 miles per hour, though it is very quickly going down to 15 miles per hour. And at this point we've got around 2¼ miles to go to our next stop, which is Shepherd's Bush. So I idled the power there just below 20 miles per hour, and I've just made a step 1 brake application just to bring our speed down to 15 in time for this point. So just here we're now turning away from the North London line, which diverges to the right and heads towards Richmond, and we're now entering the West London line, diverging to the left and heading south towards Clapham Junction. The speed limit is just about to go up to 20 miles per hour on this left-hand curve here, though I didn't actually see a 20 mile per hour speed post at the side of the track, so you wouldn't know that necessarily with the HUD turned off. And we can accelerate towards that at this next overhead gantry, which is the second gantry on this left-hand curve. So now just going to apply a very low amount of power to bring us up towards 20. I'm going to idle the power at around 18 miles per hour as we're just about to enter a downhill gradient of around 1 in 100. And so I'm going to need to use the brakes along here to control the speed now that we're doing 20 miles per hour. I'm just going to make a step 1 brake application to bring our speed down towards 17. Looks like I dropped it to 16 there actually. And now that I've done that, I've just released the brakes and I'm going to allow the train to coast back up towards 20. And then as we reach 20, I'll make another step 1 brake application. And just keep repeating the process to try and maintain our speed as close to 20 miles per hour as possible. In a moment, the speed limit will be going up to 30 miles per hour, but I'm not going to apply any power to accelerate up towards that due to the downhill gradients along here, which is actually going to steepen to 1 in 60 shortly after passing this 30 mile per hour speed post. You can be sure that the rear of the train has cleared the 30 mile per hour speed post as we reach this next overhead gantry, which is opposite the signals on the right hand side. In a moment now, I'm going to have to switch power modes from the 25 kilovolts overhead system through to the 750 volt DC third rail system. Indeed, you can see the third rail just coming up now. Now, I'm not sure if this change of power modes would actually be done with the train stopped or on the move. I think it can be done on the move so long as the power is set to idle, which is what I'm going to do now. So to change power modes here, I'm just going to press the pan down button, and now I'm going to press the shoes down button. And now you see there's a message popped up in the right corner which says that we are changing power modes to the third rail system. The speed limit here is now going up to 60 miles per hour, and we can accelerate up towards that once we're on this underbridge just coming up. So for a moment now it seems to take a few seconds for the power to kick in once I've changed power modes, but the power will be kicking in a moment, and then you'll notice a drastic increase in our acceleration rate. That's it, so the power's just kicked in now and we can start accelerating up towards 60. What I'm going to do along here is I'm going to wait until we get to around 55 miles per hour, and then I'm going to cut the power down and idle it. At the next signal coming up, we've got around 2/3 of a mile to go to our stop at Shepherd's Bush. The power is now in idle, and we're still going downhill for a moment, so our speed is going to increase. At this signal coming up, the gradient is levelling out, and so after this signal, with 2/3 of a mile to go, I'm going to apply the brakes for our stop at the next overbridge you can see just coming up, and I'm going to make a step 2 brake application. So now in step 2 of braking, which is bringing our speed down quite nicely. We should be seeing the station at Shepherd's Bush appearing in a moment. At Shepherd's Bush station, I'm aiming to stop at the S sign, which is at the end of the platform. Just reduce the braking to step 1 as I feel we might be slowing down slightly too early. In fact, I'm going to release the brakes completely just for a moment, and then reapply as we're entering the platform. I'm just fanning the brakes here and trying to brake quite lightly to bring us to a gentle and controlled stop. I am now increasing to step 2 of braking, and I want to stop just before the signal there on the left hand side, so this should be about the right place to stop. Departing Shepherd's Bush, the starting speed limit is 60 miles per hour, and at this point we've got around 3/4 of a mile to go to our next stop, which is Kensington Olympia. I'm going to accelerate along here up to 45 miles per hour, and then at that point I'm going to idle the power to allow the train to coast, so we're just reaching 45 now. And the power handle is now in idle, so I'm looking out now for a Morpeth board warning of a speed restriction for the right hand side, which is just coming up, the 30 warning you can see there with the right arrow. And now at this point I'm just going to start applying the brakes for Kensington Olympia station, which you can see coming up just ahead. Just reducing the braking for a moment to ensure that we don't stop too early, and here at Kensington Olympia I'm aiming to stop just a little bit beyond the 3 and 4 car stop sign, as if we stop there then I think the back of the train might be sticking out the platform, but there is no clear 5 car stopping point, so I'm just aiming to stop just a little bit beyond there, just at the platform sign which is coming up on the left hand side now. And so this should be about the right place to stop. So, Departing Kensington Olympia, the starting speed limit is 60 miles per hour, though it is very shortly going down to 50 miles per hour. And at this point we've got around 1 mile to go to the next stop, which is West Brompton. The speed limit has now dropped to 50 miles per hour, and along here I'm going to idle the power once we reach 50. So we're just coming up to 50 now, and I'm just reducing the power, and now I'm bringing the power back to idle. I'm going to apply the brakes for our stop at the next signal, which is just coming up in a moment. I've now made a step 2 brake application to bring our speed down, and we should be coming up on West Brompton platform in a moment. I may be slowing down just slightly too quickly there. I can see the platform coming up just beyond the next overbridge there, so I'm just reducing the braking for a moment as I did brake slightly too early. Here at West Brompton, once again I'm aiming to stop just a little bit beyond the forecast stopping point. And so this should be about the right place to stop. Departing away from West Brompton, the starting speed limit is 50 miles per hour, and we've got around 1 mile to go to the next stop, which is Imperial Wharf. I believe that the line just on the left-hand side of us now is the London Underground District line, possibly the Earls Court or Wimbledon branches. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe somebody could let me know in the comments. At the signal coming up, we've then got around 2/3 of a mile to go to our stop, and I believe that on the right-hand side just here is Earls Court Arena. Just idle the power now that we're doing 50 miles per hour just to allow the train to coast along here. We're now passing through the site of a closed station, and I need to apply the brakes for our stop at Imperial Wharf at this overbridge just after the platform. So I've now made a step 1 going up to step 2 brake application. Along here we are going down at 1 in 100, which is impeding our ability to brake, and you can now see the platform at Imperial Wharf just coming up. At the 30 warning that we're now passing, that's 1/3 of a mile from the speed limit itself. So the speed limit will be coming into force just after our stop at Imperial Wharf. I've just reduced the braking for a moment as I felt that we were slowing down just slightly too quick here. I'm just going to gently brake to bring us to a stop at the S sign, which is near, well, right at the end, should I say, of the platform. So we should now be stopping in just about the right place. Departing Imperial Wharf, the starting speed limit is 50 miles per hour, though very quickly going down to 30 miles per hour. And at this point we've got around 1¼ miles to go to our next and final stop, which is Clapham Junction. As we get to 30 miles per hour, I'm now going to shut off the power and just allow the train to coast, as the speed limit has now just dropped to 30. And right at this point, we're now crossing the River Thames by means of the Cremorne Bridge. The speed limit here is going up to 40 miles per hour, but there's no point in accelerating as we're actually only 1/4 mile from an upcoming 30 mile per hour speed limit. I did brake for a moment there as I just wasn't sure what aspect the signal was displaying, but I see that it is now displaying a green aspect, so I'm now going to accelerate back up towards 30 for a moment. The speed limit will shortly be dropping down to 20 miles per hour as just after we cross a set of points. So we've got the first set of points from the other track to this track that we're about to cross, and then we've got the set where we're crossing to the track on the right hand side, and the speed limit is dropping to 20 just after then. So I am now just going to make a step 1 brake application to start bringing our speed down to 20 in time. So the speed limit's just dropped to 20 miles per hour at this point, and we're going up on a gradient of 1 in 74 just after the junction here, so I do need some power to try and maintain the speed. Just up to 20 for a moment, so I'm just shutting off the power to ensure we don't break the speed limit. And as we drop to around 18 miles per hour, which we're at around now going back up to notch 1 of power to try and ensure that we don't lose too much speed. Coming up very shortly now is a 10 mile per hour speed limit, so I'm just preparing to brake for that now. And the 10 mile per hour limit is coming into force just after this point here, so I've just made a step 1 brake application to bring our speed down. And so the speed limit is now 10 miles per hour for the remainder of our journey into Clapham Junction station. I'm initially just going to coast along here at 10 miles per hour, and then I will just add a little bit of power if we do end up slowing down too much. Just gave us a tiny bit of power there as I felt we were slowing down just a tiny bit too much. We are now entering the platform and you can see the buffers at the end, so I'm going to gradually brake to bring us to a stop just before the buffer stops, and so I'm aiming to stop just after the buffers disappear in the driver's window. So if I stop here, we should be stopped in just about the right place. So here we are, arrival at Clapham Junction. Thank you very much for watching this video. I very much hope that you did enjoy it. If you did, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, please don't forget that for the latest channel updates, you can find me on Facebook, and the link to my Facebook page is in the description of this video. And if you'd like to sponsor the work that I do on Patreon, then please visit my Patreon page for more information, the link of which is again in the description of this video. And finally, with this scenario, if you'd like to try this scenario on Steam Workshop for yourself, then please visit the workshop link which is in the description of the video. Just to say, I think this is actually a fairly entry-level route when it comes to route learning and learning to drive without the HUD. So this would be a great place to start if you've not yet tried driving in Train Simulator without the HUD, which makes for a much more immersive and realistic experience. Once again, thank you for watching.